Welcome back to part two. Thank you for sticking through and making it past episode four, part one. So, welcome back to part two. I'm so excited for you guys to see the rest of the episode and get the full scoop. So, please enjoy.
And speaking of community, how have you feel like your vulnerability has increased within the community? Because I know having to tell people about your condition or people around you having to experience your condition that could be, actually happening to you, that could be kind of tough. So tell me kind of how that's has helped you grow to be a more vulnerable man and just um be more outspoken with having epilepsy.
Um, Now I'm actually I'm able to really tell my story with it now. Especially because I've gone a year, without having a seizure, thankfully. And counting, but I'm able to tell kids just people in general everything that I've gone through and everything that occurred in my life. And I never gave up. There was times where, like I said, I asked God, like, why would you do this to me? I've never done harm to anybody, never did wrong to anybody. Like, why are you giving me this? And question my life a few times. Like, is my life even worth it? What am I here for? For what? There's no need for me to be here because it's apparent you don't want me here. You want me up there with you, right? Something like that. And me now would easily tell not only myself, but everybody else that is either feeling that way mentally, it's not worth it and don't do it. And I actually had this conversation with my mom yesterday. She didn't know that I was having these thoughts, but those thoughts was like medically induced too,
Mm,
like side effects.
mhm, mm,
And doctor even told my mom that like if I was even feeling if I was having those type of thoughts to watch me closely and like potentially call them.
mm.
I didn't know this. I didn't know that was like part of like the medical side effects.
Right.
I thought it was me. Like I thought like myself, I thought it was like I didn't live up to what like what I was supposed to be. And I was feeling like this was holding me back. And I didn't know why it was put on me. But it was like a mixture of both. It was side effects from the medication, and then it was me kind of having those thoughts a little bit. But now, like I can look back at it and just say, you know, go get therapy or at least just go have somebody to talk to, have a support system, and don't be afraid to like talk to somebody because I held a lot of stuff in until 2018. So like I got to San Jose 2015. I didn't find like a therapist or a sports psychologist till 2018.
Right. Right.
And like that's when stuff kind of got better a little bit.
Hmm.
But like when my friends started dying and stuff, that's when it turned around. But initially, like they're getting better.
Right. Right. And I'm curious to know, I don't know if you've met any of your doctors or any mental health professionals that had like a similar journey to as you or have had or even just a community, a support group of people that are navigating the same um challenge of epilepsy. And my question is, how beneficial do you think that type of support would have been for you back then? And it's a double question. And how beneficial do you think having somebody that looks like you as far as being black, like a black physician or a black mental health therapist, how do you think that would have played a role at that time?
I think they both would have played a very, very, very important role and a very big um having somebody that has gone through. what you've gone through, I think always is gonna trump somebody that hasn't been in your shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm speaking from the masses of inner city,
Right.
not necessarily the masses in terms of just people in general, but like inner city kids.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times I feel that we don't go to like therapy
Mm-hmm.
because it's either taught at home not to go, but
Mm-hmm.
also we don't want to be judged by people that's never gone through something that we've been through.
Right.
Like, how are you going to give me advice on something when your entire life, your life been perfect?
Mm-hmm.
Just like what certain people might have been thinking or might be thinking. Oh, well, you're telling me I need to do this, it's this and this, but you've never been in my shoes.
Right.
So if for me, like if I have somebody trying to help me out
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not liking their advice on epilepsy and what I need to do, but they turn around and tell me that they're epileptic, they were epileptic, and they've been dealing with it their entire life, I'm gonna look at them different, and I'm gonna be like, "Oh snap! Well, maybe I need to shut up
Mm-hmm.
because they actually have been going through this, and they're still pushing through and still fighting."
Right.
And if they tell me, don't question anything, this is your battle now, you just have to overcome it. I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to overcome what's in front of me, no matter how hard it is. I'm just going to do it.
Right.
And on top of that, if the person looks like me, that's like the icing on the cake.
Right.
It's like not only is it like soothing for me to be embraced by somebody that is going through or that has went through the same stuff that I'm going through, but you look like me. You're a black male, and you're a black male that's you're a therapist, you're a psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever. You're in the medical field. It's actually very hard, and we, you, they don't want to accept us in that industry. Like they don't want to accept us unless you're entertainer, rapper, or making money through sports. They really don't want to accept you in nothing else. So the fact that you look like me, you went through what I went through, and you're telling me good advice, I'm typically going to listen to all of it, and I'm going to appreciate every last bit of it.
Right. And I think that's so truthful to also your own testimony because you're going through everything that you're going through to be that person. Like you're
Yeah,
gonna be a professional that's helping innovative kids that look like us and helping making sure that they're being advocated for and creating those safe spaces. So it's just so amazing how full circle everything can come back together.
exactly.
So I'm definitely excited for that journey too. And I know you spoke a little bit about how your relationship with God definitely you had a lot of questions, you had those thoughts of essentially a thoughts of suicide. You had we're wondering like, why were you in this predicament? So tell me how your relationship with God has grown from, when you first got diagnosed, going through those thoughts and then where you are now.
Um, yeah. So when I first got diagnosed, I really just it was almost kind of like brushing of off the shoulder. Okay, it is what it is. Like part of it went into one ear and out the other. Like I heard him, but I was when he said at first when he said that, I'm thinking immediately, like I heard the words, but I'm just thinking like, okay, can I play football? Can I play football? Then that was the question that got asked. He said yeah, so I was like, okay, I'm through with it. All right, I have epilepsy. That's something I'll just say, but I'm able to still do what I love, so I'm fine.
Yeah.
As time kind of went on, and this like the seizures kept happening, then I'm like, okay, what like why is this still happening? Like for what? And they would at times they would be coming at like the most random times. And because they did and they weren't happening like like I wasn't getting a tail on when they were supposed to happen. Like it wasn't like flashing lights would be coming up and then all of a sudden I'd fall or anything like that, or a loud sound and then I just fall. Like it's me and you could be having this conversation right now and then, so it was one of those things. And it every time it happened, I can remember just every time vividly I would come to and I would be so upset and frustrated in my head just because it's like not only did it happen again, but I'm trying to go a year without having one. So I have to start over. And like that mind space that I get put back in when I'm like, okay, I got a month down, cool. 2 months, 3 months, cool. 4 months, all right. 5 months, nah, you have a seizure. And then it's like you got to take that breath and you're like, damn it. And then it got to a point where I'm like, man, like, God, why do you keep resetting me? Like, what am I doing wrong? What is it? Like, and I felt like he wasn't giving me a sign back. He wasn't giving me like a talk. There was nobody to tell me anything. Every time I talked to my parents, it was the same. It was just like it was almost like the same conversation. You just have to be, you either have to be patient, just continue to take the medicine, blah, 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 blah. Every time I would talk to the doctor, they would try to find something. They couldn't find anything. So it's like I don't know what it is. And it was like that past, even past college, moved past that a few years. It wasn't until I met my fiance when I feel like that was my like the signal. And I needed to jump on that signal then because it wasn't going to be another one. And like when I met her, which is crazy how we met, but like it was, I met her and then we go through our relationship. And then she sees me have a few seizures, but she actually like does deep research into how to make sure that we can either contain it or possibly have him not have any more. And then she comes upon um this new medicine and she takes me to a different doctor, which is he's probably one of the top doctors for neurology, I think in the state or in the nation. I know for a fact in the state though. And it was all based on the fact that I had 4 seizures in a day. And like she didn't want me to have to go through that anymore. And that is like that's why kind of like every time I think about it now, I know never to like question God for real, because it's one of those things where like even if you ask for something maybe 7, 8 years ago, it's gonna happen eventually, but yeah, it takes time. I kind of look at it from like the movie Bruce Almighty when he finally got the powers to be God and he was going through all them emails and like those are prayers and he just started answering all of them. You got to remember like that's prayers from everybody. So like your prayer might not be answered until when it's supposed to be answered, but it will get answered eventually. And it took a long time for me to really understand that. But like meeting her, going through everything that we went through, and me being where I am now, I understood and figured out like, okay, it's gonna happen on his time. Like, of course, people say it, but I don't think everybody truly understands it or is truly willing to accept that. Yeah, it's on God's time. Like it's not on ours. Because people will say it till the death of them. It's on God's time. but they won't really accept it because they want it still to be on their time. And that's where I was at. I know I said that multiple times, like throughout me having seizures, and I was like, well, I'll get to a year when it's time for me to get to a year. And I said that multiple times. I really didn't believe what I was saying though, at all. I can attest to that. I didn't at all. But as I grew older, and when I finally reached a year without having it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. It was that was when I was supposed to like that was when it was supposed to happen.
Exactly. Exactly. And it also reminds me of, I think everybody throws out the famous Jeremiah 29:11,
Oh yeah. Hmm.
to harm you, but for you to prosper. But I don't think people pay attention to that part of where he says, his plans are not to harm us. And it's hard to understand that, especially in tough situations like you having multiple seizures back to back, or um you having friends that passed away, back to back in that time span. Like, and that's what I want to get into. How has navigating grief affected you too throughout this journey? Because like you said you were grieving at one point and dealing with back-to-back seizures, your injury at San Jose before you left, and all of those things. And at this time, so I do want to highlight the life of Chandler Jones, and I want you to discuss how he was beneficial in your journey as well.
Yeah. So in terms of Chandler, just rest in peace to Chandler. Uh I love him. He was like a really a big brother. He 2019, he helped me a lot. Um because just for the simple fact of I was in 2019, I wasn't okay. I wasn't. I know for a fact I wasn't. And he was the he was really like the only person that was like it felt like I could really talk to in terms of like what was going on with me. And he helped me a lot through one of those instances where I felt like there was no point to me being here. There was no reason for me to be here. He helped me out through getting past that thought process. At that time, Jeremy was gone. His older brother Jermaine was gone. Um, and I think Terrell was still there. So I was, of course, around Terrell a lot. I think, or did Terrell leave? I'm not sure if Terrell was still there or if Terrell left. I'm not sure. Terrell might have left, but I know Kari was still there. And like George is still there, but they're not athletes. You get me? So like I'm around them, but I'm around Chandler more just because he's a GA and he's still like one of the coaches and stuff like that. And people were able to tell when I was like down and when I was having trouble just being up and stuff like that. Like people were able to tell. I was really, really good at putting on a front, making it seem like I was good when I really was not. Um, and I vividly remember one time, I think I was one of the last people to leave our facility, and he saw me and he just asked me, "Hey, just talk to me, Chan. Like we got the same." He said that he was like, "We got the same first name, so you can't lie to me." And he just asked me, "What's going on?" And I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm good." And then he made a face. I can't make a face, but he just made a face. And I like I remember I dropped my bag and was just like, "Bro, I can't do this anymore." and we talked for probably like 45 minutes to an hour. And I was really just telling him like a lot of stuff that was just killing me at the time and why I was feeling the way I was feeling. And he helped me out through a lot of that, a lot of the stuff that I was going through. Um, and so in terms of grieving, I think people grieve in different ways. Um, and I encourage people to grieve however they need to. I've always said that you can't control how somebody grieves. Um, it's it's one of those touchy subjects because you don't want to be the person that tells somebody, oh, well, you need to get over it. Like, you never want to tell somebody that as much as like they should, but at the same time, you don't know their relationship to that person. You don't know how much like that person means to them or how much that person meant to them. So it's kind of hard to like try to control somebody's grievances. So I just always say somebody like just grieve and be open to grieving however you want to grieve. Um, I think the grievances for me throughout the years has played a I think that has played a part in certain seizures that I've had, especially in college, because I just hid my grievances with alcohol. Like I can remember in the summer when one of my cousins, London, died, and when one of my little homies, Rise, died. Not they died not too far apart. I remember when I went home for London's funeral and I came back and we were having like some athletes were having like some little get together or whatever when we came back. I came back, I got turned and unapologetically too. It was just and I did that because I didn't talk to anybody about anything that I was going through. Went to a funeral for my cousin. We buried her, stuff like that. But I like I wasn't able to, I wasn't able to really deal with it because the next thing I knew, I was on a flight back to San Jose. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna deal with it how I want to deal with it, and I drank, and that's how I kind of typically dealt with it. So I think that forced things to be worse. Now I deal with things a lot better. Once again, I give it up to my fiance. She's helped me a lot with that too, because she kind of pinpointed um when one of my childhood friends kind of growing up, when he died in 2024, that like killed me. It destroyed me. And then I had a few seizures, I think I want to say probably like 2 weeks after. I had like one. And like I dealt with it. Um, but it was one of those ones that like kind of hurt me. And she acknowledged like, maybe for grievance purposes, going to like funerals, sometimes that can really affect like me specifically, like my body and stuff like that in terms of stress. Um, and as much as I did not want to like accept it, I had to because it's the truth. Certain events where, and me and you both know, Black funerals is completely different than other people's funerals. You're gonna have a lot of people there. It's gonna be a whole bunch of crying, whole bunch of singing of sad songs. And they gonna sing their butt off, but it's gonna be singing of sad songs. So, like, not only is it gonna be like, you're gonna see a lot of people that you probably haven't seen in a long time, but you all are gonna be crying. people don't like really get occasional happy, maybe, or at least a little joyous to the repast, but you have to make it to that point. So she kind of like let me know, you can grieve how you want. You can have conversations with people that were close to the person that you lost. Have a little, 20-minute conversation with them about different things, different memories, stuff like that. And I'm starting to get a little better with learning how to grieve, just not only for the situation itself, but for myself and for my health.
Like,
Yeah.
it definitely plays a role. And like, I definitely want to shout out your fiance as well because pinpointing that type of stress is it's not easy to do that. One and two, it definitely can benefit you because you will be able to identify like, okay, these situations in these environments can trigger my stress. Like it just is what it is. And now you're able to reroute and say, hey, maybe it's not the best time to attend, or you could pick which part of the funeral you want to go to. Because like you said, you know how Black funerals grow. So it's like now it's like, okay, hold on. Let me see what part my body and my mental health can attend and then go from there. Yeah, definitely shout out to her because that's definitely major. And with speaking of grief, with your experiences, and we have 5 stages of grief. I want to know your thoughts. Do you think men and women grieve differently? Obviously, yes. Everybody has their own way.
Hmm.
Have you experienced those differences between men and women, and how could we kind of bridge the gap to make it a more inclusive environment, let's say.
Um, yeah, so I definitely think men and women grieve differently. Um, I think for men, in terms of grieving, we just need, I think for the masses of men, they just need to know that it's okay for them to like have a moment to like cry. Like it's all right. You're not any less of a guy or any less of a man. Like if your friend died or if your parent died. Like when my grandmother on my dad's side died, I don't think my dad cried at all. I don't think. Like I think the first time I ever saw my dad cry was um like when I graduated. I
Mhm.
think that was the first time ever. So like in terms of grief, like I don't think he cried during that, but I could probably tell that he wanted to though. Same thing with one of my aunts. Like I don't think he passed during that. I mean, I don't think he cried during that, but I think he wanted to. But I think it might have been something within him that was like, you have to stay strong. You have to stay, hard. Like you don't want to break, stay strong for the family and stuff like that. And I just, I feel like there should be safe spaces where not only for men, but for women too, where you kind of have collective talks where you're able to like talk about, the grief that you have and express yourself. Like it's just one talk. It's not like you're walking around crying every single day. It's not occurring. It's you're grieving somebody that was close to you passing away. Like you can't get on the phone and call them anymore. They're not going to answer. Or you're going to get their answering machine, you're going to hear their voice, and then it's going to be worse. So, do we want that, or do we want to be able to be in an environment where we're able to get help from each other? And I think we just need to give each other grace, more grace, um, in terms of griefs, and grievances. just being able to acknowledge that we grieve differently, men grieve differently than women. And if a man is saying nothing is wrong, but like he just lost somebody or whatever, allow him to like sit with it, but don't allow him to just like move away from it entirely unless his way of grieving is just, a healthy way of like operating around it, if that makes sense. Like just not directly. If he's healthy, if he's able to deal with it indirectly, but in a healthy manner, then okay. But like if he's making this poor decisions because he has to grieve and the poor decisions that he's making is affecting others around him in a negative way, you need to nip that in the bud because you can't allow him to do that. And the same thing goes like for the woman too. But I think women are able to kind of express like you guys' grief a little bit easier just because of the way you guys are wired. So like that might be a little bit easier for you guys.
especially with that emotional wiring that we already have.
Yeah.
Exactly. And just overall, speaking of holding safe spaces and bridging that gap, I know I always want to make sure that I hold myself accountable to making sure that my platform and in real life, my community, that I can hold space for my brotherhood and the same level of vulnerability that I hold my sisters to. So I'm curious to know from your experience, and I know your fiance has had a lot of influence with your mental health in general. What can your sisters or your friends or other Black women do to best support Black men's mental health?
Um, I would say be available and be available. Don't be judgmental, like so quick to be judgmental. Um, Still hold us accountable, but be more understanding and be a little bit more patient. Um, of course, we know the easiest, this probably the easiest saying out there now in the modern era is that N word ain't S. I don't want to cuss too much on your platform, but like we know that's like one of the easiest things to say. But my question is, have we ever sat back to like think why?
Right,
Like, why is he that?
right,
And then if we go down his actions, okay, those are bad actions. But what is it? Why? Because I always like look at it from a standpoint of there's always a reason why that person is like doing something. We're us as human beings, we're not just going to be doing something just to be doing something. Like you're choosing to do it for a reason, for a purpose. So, like, why? Why is it? And if he's not gonna talk to you, he's gonna probably tell somebody. There's a reason why he's doing it. Um, Unless, there are those anomalies where there's people that are like psychopaths or something and they just feel like dealing in chaos. And if that's the case, then that's cool. But just trying to find ways to get understanding on men before you just go on that avenue of, oh yeah, this guy ain't nothing. I can't deal with him. He this, he that, blah 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 blah. Like before you do that, just take take a few baby steps before you take that big step in that direction. He might not be everything like that is supposed to be what you were looking for or whatever, or what you think he should be doing, but let's just figure out like why. And just it that just comes with like more conversations, but having deep conversations though, not just
surface level.
uh surface level. Yeah, not just like what's your favorite color.
Yeah.
Just do with anything. Like, that ain't got nothing to do with what we talking about.
And I'm hearing the same thing that I was thinking was just getting back to the basics.
Yeah,
Basic humility, like you said, how are you? But we got to unpack that layer of like how's your mental health? How's your physical health? How's your
right.
how's your emotions, you know? And I think unfortunately the the worldly stereotypes have allowed this negative gap between black men and black women of like, okay, this is the stereotype of what the black man is or whatever, and then this is the stereotype of what the black woman is. Like you said, why are we going straight to, oh, he ain't nothing, versus like, okay, well, what's causing this? Same with like black women, like why are we going straight to, oh, why is she aggressive or why is she always angry, instead of saying like, okay, well, what's going on for her to act in this manner? So I definitely think that um your sentiments, they hold a lot of weight to cultivating and bringing that gap back together. And
Yeah.
question is, so how are you feeling overall, mentally, emotionally, physically, especially since you hit 1 year seizure free, 1 year and continuing, amen. Um, and you know your life has done a 360 since hitting that milestone.
Man, my mental is like I feel amazing. Every day I wake up and I just thank God for getting me to that point. Because there was a point in time I didn't think I was ever gonna reach it at all, ever. Now I'm like at a month and well, we're in June, we're about to be in July, so it's about to be July. What? February, March, April, May, June, July. So a month and or a year and 5 months essentially. So like
Yeah,
yeah, I like my mental health now and just it's like it's better than it's ever been. Um and like I said, just looking at my family every day just makes it that much better. Um Waking up, seeing my fiance, waking up, seeing my daughter every day is amazing. Um, like seeing my daughter smile just makes me smile, and whatever is making me mad that day, it doesn't matter anymore. It just doesn't. And I do whatever I can to make sure that she doesn't ever see me or ever have to see me in that state. So like I'm on my medicine instantly on a schedule all the time, making sure that I'm getting enough water and everything all the time, like just making sure that everything is precise because I never want her to be able to, or I never want her to have to see me in that state ever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like that, like that. And with your condition, I never got a chance to ask you. Is it can it be genetically passed down? Like, could your daughter have the trait, or is it because
Mm, So not like it was complicated how they explained it. So how I got it through a distant like uncle slash cousin. I don't know, distant though, because the mom and the dad have to have these two traits or these two um these two traits, I believe. If one has it and the other one doesn't, then it's not gonna work and you won't end up getting it. Um Kennedy doesn't have it, so like um I won't be able to like my daughter won't be able to have epilepsy. The only way she would ever be able to have it is through like like some distant distant, far, like relative, or if she has like a kid and that kid has a kid and they end up having it because of me or something like that. But I like, yeah, it was something weird how they explained it.
Yeah. Dang, that's a whole
Exactly.
talk by itself. That's crazy. And then my very last thing is, what do you want men to take away from this episode? Whether that is any tips for like going to therapy, any tips of like just going out and making sure that the brotherhood is um intact and they checking in on their homies, or yeah,
Mhm.
what do you want to let the people know?
Yeah, men, go to therapy. It helps a ton. Go to therapy. I don't care what nobody says, especially if you lived in the inner city. We have seen a lot of stuff that other people ain't seen in their life. Um, go to therapy. It helps. Um, I'm planning on being a licensed professional clinical counselor, and then further in that, going to have my own private practice. So not only do I want to help athletes, but I also want to help just, regular people in general, that may need help in terms of counseling and figuring out, how to help them. Um, and just being able to understand that, you're not alone when it comes to living your life. Um, I think that is the worst thing that could ever happen to a person is when you feel like you're all alone. Once you feel like you're all alone and nobody's here to help you, two things can happen. You can end up, just living in a life of chaos and could potentially and throw you in jail or end up in jail or just the worst of the worst can happen, or you just end up, dying before you could even reach out your full purpose. And so I really urge men to go to therapy. Like if there's something on your mind, go to therapy and vent, and take the homework that they give in terms of advice and different just things, skills that they give you to be able to deal with certain situations and scenarios. Take that and be able to use so things can be better within your life.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I definitely I second everything he said. Yes, so that is the end. We appreciate you for coming on and giving us this beautiful testimony, this beautiful word. Yes. And yeah, we're gonna have you back soon.
If you enjoy this episode, also please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, send it to a family member, send it to whoever you feel like this episode will resonate with. And I hope to see you guys soon.